In our previous class, I told you guys that you all will be introduced to the use of Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheet, where you learn how to clean a data set, either a raw data set or a clean one, how you are able to like bring out an insight from a data. When you are given a structured data or unstructured data, you'll be able to get an insight out of it, visualize it, and show your results to end user of your analysis. It could be yourself or someone else. So you learn how to use Excel and Google Spreadsheet. And the objective of this course is that you understand the fundamentals of data analytics, what it entails, what you do during your data analytics process, how you explore data set, and how you bring out an insight from it. So you learn the fundamentals of data analytics. And in other words, you also learn the essential spreadsheet functions for data analysis, because your data analytics is not complete if you can't use functions. Take, for example, you're summing or aggregating a particular column or row, you're getting an aggregate value of it. I know that the statistician here or those that study computer science, and I believe in our elementary class, we all know what it means to sum, find the average of a column and the maximum, minimum, and so on and so forth. So you all will learn how to use an easy way to get those values from your data set in this course. And also, you will learn how to clean, prepare data for analysis. You will learn how to visualize data, how you visualize and bring out a presentable insight from your data set. So those are the things you will learn in this course. And you're able to perform statistical analysis using Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheet. Good. And the last but not the least that we have for you in this course, which I believe will really benefit you, is the use of Google and Excel formula to draw an insight using an automated way. Like you are able to automate your processes, you are able to automate things and get it easily done without you going through the stress of doing them manually, which is very, very important, especially the use of pivot table. You'll be able to use them at the end of this course. Okay, so in our last class, as I mentioned earlier, that we covered the module 1 of this course, but I will quickly brush through it. I know that was here attended the last class, so I don't want us to be drawback because of those that could not attend the last class. But nevertheless, I believe that you'll be able to understand all the things we did in our last class in this lesson. So in module 1, we covered introduction to data analytics in Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheet. Where I introduced you to data analytics, getting started with Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheet, and how you can enter, format data, and also use basic formulas in Excel. So in our last class, I asked you all that what is data analytics? And I know that by now, since some of you have been introduced to Microsoft Power BI, you should know what the process of data analytics entails. But for those that did not do that course, then data analytics involves you analyzing a raw data set, finding an insight from it. Take, for example, pattern while you are, and I used one particular example. Take, for example, a stock market where you decide to invest in one particular stock, but you don't know where to invest. Now, with data analytics, you can find out the past record of that particular stock and see the way they behave, see the way the thing is going up, which is recognized here as the trend. So you look at the trend, whether the trend is good or not a go area. So with data analytics, you are able to find out the pattern, the insight, and with that, it will help you to make decision, which is like a data-proven decision. And I introduced you to importance of data analytics to business. Data analytics enhances decision making, as I mentioned earlier, using this concept of stock market. You know, if you are able to analyze the past record of a particular stock, you'll be able to like get a rough idea of the way that particular stock will behave in the nearest future. You understand me? Okay, it also improves operational efficiency. Take, for example, the way someone that does not know how to use Excel or Google Worksheet will react to a data set will be quite different to someone that is very, very deft in using it. So if you're able to use data analytics, it is like an advantage for you in anywhere you find yourself, even in the business world or in analytics world. Wherever you find yourself, you'll be able to stand out. And as I mentioned earlier, you'll be able to use data analytics to find a trend and opportunity from data set. with the knowledge of data analytics, you can get a lot of things done. So what are the types of data that we have? We have structured data and unstructured data. Structured data is an organized data. It can be in different category. Take, for example, you're working with Excel tables, databases, and so on and so forth. So those are structured data. While unstructured data are free-form data. They can be in different formats. It can either be text, images, videos, and so on. Let's get started with spreadsheet. I will introduce you to the use of spreadsheet and the elementary aspect of you working with Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheet. So Google Spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel, they are powerful spreadsheet application used for data entry, analysis, organization, and visualization. Let's understand these two aspects of Google Spreadsheet and Microsoft Excel. We have Workbook, we have Worksheet, and we have cells. So take, for example, I would like to create a workbook. I would like to create Excel file. So the Excel file itself is what we refer to as workbook. It's like the combination of various worksheets. Because in a workbook, you have multiple worksheets. You can either have multiple worksheets or just one worksheet. So a workbook is the file itself. As you can see, this is the introduction to spreadsheet. Now, take for example, how can I create a workbook? Let me now open Excel. How can I open Excel? Use Windows S. And for Mac users, you can just... Oh, please, can you mute yourself? I'm hearing myself back. Sorry. So I will search for Excel. As you can see, as I already one of the top search app on my laptop is Excel. So if I click on Excel here, or I just search for Excel, I will have the software, and then I can open it from here. Now, opening the Excel will land on the home page. This is the home page of Excel. This is where you are greeted. Take, for example, good afternoon, based on your date or time. Yes, you will be greeted based on the time that you are. Okay, we have various sections in this home page. We have the home section, we have the new section, and we have the open section. In this home section, you will see all the... Take for example, if you like to create a blank workbook, you can click on this to create a blank workbook. While the rest that you have here are the recent workbooks that you've worked with. And take for example, I also use this as an example in our last class. For this pin, these are the workbook that you pin, maybe the ones that you always use and you would like to have it in a pinned way so that it won't get lost while you are working with various workbooks. So how can you pin a workbook? You can just click on it. It's either you are click or you just come here and you will see this particular icon. Once you click this particular icon, it will be added to your pinned workbooks. As you can see, this was the one I pinned previously. Right now, I have this one also pinned. If I would like to unpin it, I will just click on this unpin icon, then it will be unpinned. Okay, so now if I want to see all the various templates we have in Microsoft Excel, if I would like to see the various templates, a template used by a data or business analyst, or take for example, people collecting survey into a table, the various template they are using, like the template they are using may not be the same thing. Based on what you want to do or what you want to achieve, we determine the templates you will use. And now, I don't know why, maybe because I'm not using the 365 version, that's why you can't see the templates here. By default, you should be able to see various templates. And I will show you an example of that on Google Spreadsheet because that one is online service. So you will have various templates here which you can choose. But for this class, I will just show you the blank workbook. Let's create a blank workbook. And I'm doing this because of those that did not attend the last class. Okay, so when you create a blank workbook, as you can see, if I save this now, I will have it on my laptop. Now, how can I create different worksheets? And as you all know, that the sheet that we are now, this is a worksheet on its own. As you can see, we have sheet 1. I can name it to be anything. I can say maybe student record. I can call it a name. If I double click on it, the rename box will be activated. Just double click on it, as you can see. Now, how can I create another sheet? If I use this plus icon, can you see this icon below the screen? Let me zoom in. So the plus icon is what you use to create a new sheet. Click on it, you have another sheet. You still click on it again. You can create as many as possible sheets that you like. Okay, so now let's go to the concept of cells. All the boxes that you are seeing in this worksheet is what we refer to as cell. And how do you know the cell that you are? We have a particular name box here. Can you see? If I over it, if I just over it, you see that it is called name box. With that, you'll be able to know the particular cell that you are in the spreadsheet. As you can see, this is telling us that we are now on B8. You see that this is a column, which is B, while this is the row, which is 8. So now the intersection of the two is what we call B8, and that is referring to a cell. Good. Okay. So now I will introduce you to the concept of ribbons. We have various ribbons in Microsoft Excel. As you can see, we have the file ribbon, which will take you to the backstage and you will see all the things you can do. Take, for example, if you want to save your workbook, just click on this save and it will take you to the file location on where you want to like save your workbook. Okay, that's not what I want to do now. So, and also we have home ribbon. This home ribbon contains almost all the functions that you always use in Microsoft Excel. Take, for example, you would like to change the format of of what you want to insert in this particular cell. You want to change the format of everything, you can navigate to this group. The various groups that we have in home ribbon, we have clipboard, that is group, that is referred to as group. This is font group, this is alignment group, while this is number group, styles group, cells group, and editing groups. And each groups that we have here, they all have their various functions. As you can see in font group, I can either make a particular text to be bold. And how do I make it bold? Let me just quickly, student name. Let me type into this cell, student name. Now I want to make this student name to be bold. So I just click on this particular icon. And as I over it, I see the shortcut to that particular function. As you can see, we have bold, which is Control B. If you click on Control B on your keyboard, or you just click on this icon, that particular cell will be bolded. Now we have the italic icon also, which you can also activate by using Control I. If I click on Control I, as you can see, this particular cell is now in an italicized format. We have student name, it is bold, it is italicized format, and I can even underline it. If I would like to like underline the value that we have in that particular cell, I can underline it. And with this, as you can see, there's one particular icon here, which is the menu icon. If I click on it, it's telling me that I can underline or double underline. And as you can see, you see the illustration beside each of them. So which is telling you the thing that you get activated once you click on it. Okay, so without wasting our time, I will also switch to the insert ribbon. So in insert ribbon, as the name suggests, you can insert a lot of things into your Excel worksheet. Take, for example, you want to insert a table. This is the particular icon to do that. To insert a table, maybe let's say, for example, you want to insert link into one particular cell. Once you click on it, it's either you type the link out yourself or you just click on this link. Can you see? That will enables you to like add an hyperlink into a cell. And if you want to like show various visualization, this is the ribbon that get all those things done. If you want to insert things into your Excel, you want to insert take for example, maybe shape, you can just click on it here. You see pictures, shape, icons, 3D. Take for example, we would like to insert a shape. So let me insert a circle. So if I can insert anything wherever I want, and as you can see, the shape gets added, and with that you can insert on the insert ribbon. Now sticking to the page layout ribbon, this page layout ribbon, it's like manage the way your page looks on a paper. Take for example, maybe you want to like print a particular data set into A4 paper. So with this page layout, you can dissect various things. You can set margin, you can do a lot of things here You can even print it out from this page layout. You can print things out from the page layout. Switching to the formula ribbon. In the formula ribbon, you see that, as the name suggests, it's basically what it's for. You can use this formula ribbon to insert any formula. Take, for example, I would like to have, let's say, let me just say serial number, or let me just call it just number. So I want to insert 1, 2, 3. And in our previous class, let me quickly mention that you can use autofill. Take, for example, maybe your data already has a particular pattern. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3. So if we drag this jar icon towards down, that is like we incrementing it by one, because Excel is smart enough to recognize the pattern in which we are working with. We have 1, 2, 3. That was the thing we gave to it. And now, just by highlighting it and then dragging the jar icon at the bottom and then dragging it down, Excel is smart enough to recognize the pattern. That is, the thing is incrementing one after the other. Okay, so now where I was going about using formula. Now with this formula, I can work with various things in Excel. Okay, take for example, I would like to use sum function, but I don't know the name that Excel uses for addition, and how can I get it done without me knowing that particular formula? So I can just come onto this particular insert function icon. If I click on it, you will see that I can give Excel, I can give it the description of what I'm trying to do, and it will give me the formula, the right formula that do that particular thing. Excel, let me just give it a description. Let's say addition, and I say enter. Okay, no, that's not what I want to describe. I want to describe like sum of numbers. Sum of numbers. Okay, as you can see, I see various functions that can do that thing for me. And now this one stand out for me, that sum of number, I can use this for particular formula. So if I say, okay, this is the formula I'm looking for. Now it just means that which number am I trying to sum up? So I can just click on this particular icon. That will help me to like navigate to what I'm trying to sum. And then I can highlight everything by left clicking on it and then dragging it down. Now I have selected all the things I want to like sum from there. And I say, okay, now that's the only thing I want to sum. And then I say, okay. So with that, I'm able to get the sum of everything. I have 55 here. That is telling me that the sum of 1 to 10 is 55. Okay, and also we have various things that we can do in this formula ribbon. We have AutoSum. Take for example, I would like to do AutoSum on this. I just click on this place and I say AutoSum. You see that it automatically captures that particular column and it selected everything by then saying, okay, we still have 55 again. So that is the value of AutoSum. And this AutoSum formula can be done by using Alt plus equal sign keyboard. That AutoSum will be activated. Let me delete it and then show you. Delete this. I have deleted it. Now I will now use Alt and then the equal sign on my keyboard. As you can see, that AutoSum gets activated easily without stressing myself by going to this AutoSum and then clicking on it. Now switching to the data ribbon. This data ribbon enables us to like control a lot of things, even while collecting data from people. Take for example, with this data, let me switch to where we have this data validation. Though we are still going to treat this in module 2, but it's worth mentioning now. With this data validation, I can limit the number of characters that people can insert for a student name. I can limit it here. Even I can still specify the format in which I want the thing to be by using this data validation. And also I can still use this data validation to like tell Excel not to accept anything aside from a number for age, same as CGPA. With that, I'm able to like get a concise and a well formatted data that I'm expecting. So with those, you are able to get a lot of things done. And as you can see, under the data tools here, we have remove duplicate, we have flash fill, we have consolidate, and manage data model. I believe by the end of this course, you should be able to use them effectively without getting stuck. I believe by now you all know what I refer to be workbook, worksheet, cells, ribbon, tabs, groups, rows, and columns. I know that all of you know what they are now. And I believe that this is very, very easy for you to do. You can create a workbook and you can close them. You can open and close them. And as I mentioned earlier that we have various shortcut to get a lot of things done in Excel. The way we use AutoSum the other time by using the combination of Alt key and equal sign on our keyboard. So with that, we're able to get a lot of things done easily without going from one ribbon to the other. And we are able to like enter data. We have a lot of data types that we can type into Excel table or Excel worksheet. We have text, we have number, we have date. Okay, take for example, you want to edit a cell. You would like to edit a cell. How can you edit Excel? And let me just quickly use this as example. Tolu, let me type Tolu here. Tolu Lokbe Emmanuel. Okay, I don't want to be typing too much. So let me just quickly copy this across to the other cell. So I can just copy it from here by using Control C. With Control C, I'm able to copy it. Now, if I want to paste it across to the other cells too, I can just say Control V. As you see, I highlighted them, then I press Control V. As you can see, I'm able to paste Tolulokbe Emmanuel across down to B14. Now, let me just say I want to be adding 1. I want to add 2. I want to add 3. All these things are even a manual work because it's something you can easily get done by just highlighting these 2 patterns. Because Excel is smart enough to detect the pattern in this Tolulokbe Emmanuel 2. With that, I can just drag it downward, and now everything will be incremented by just adding 2, 3, 4 to them. So we have all the student names. So just assume all these Tolulokbe Emmanuel to be some other names that I can't remember now. Now I want to add a matric number. So I can just like type anything I want here and just give it a one particular anything that comes to my mind. So let me copy this and then paste it here. So I will just increment it by 1, which is 12. So if I want to like make that pattern to go downward immediately without even stressing myself, I can just highlight them and then drag this jar icon downward. So that will increment it by 1. As you can see, Excel is smart enough to detect the pattern that this 11 gets incremented by 1, that making it to be 12. Then the rest also get done automatically. Now I want to have, okay, for the age, okay, let me quickly just give it any name, maybe 18 years old, 23, 21, 22, 24, 19, 20, 21, and also the last, which is 19. So those are the ages that we have. Now, maybe I want to enter CGPA. Let me just put 1, 4.0, 3.9, 2.9, 3.9, or anything like that. Let me just, even I can still detect the, what's it called, the pattern, by just highlighting everything and then dragging it downward. You see that Excel is still smart enough to detect pattern out of this. It's still smart enough to detect pattern out of that CGPA. So that's how I was able to get it done. Okay. What was I talking about before I switch to this? Okay. I was talking about text, number, and date in cell. Okay. As you can see now, we already have text, we have number, and we have decimal number. Okay, take for example, we like to like add the date of birth. I was not actually planning to add the date of birth before, but because of the date, just to demonstrate how to like add date into a worksheet. So let me just quickly do it here, and I will add it beside the age. As you can see before, I click on this and I would like to like add another column, and then I right click on it by just clicking on this insert, and the thing gets added here. But that's not where I want it to be inserted. I want it to be beside the age then. So I will just switch to this and then I click on it and then click on insert. That insert operation that I just get done now is something I could easily add immediately without even bothering myself by just going to the home ribbon. If I go to the home ribbon, as you can see, there is one particular insert here. So with this insert, I can get that same thing done. Okay, so I want to add, let's say, last day in school. Okay, so I would like to like add the date. I'll just give it a random date. A date can be in various formats. You can have February 2, 2019, or let's say 2/7/2018, and so on and so forth. So how can I insert date into a cell? So with that, I can just click on it on here and then just type February to the one I mentioned previously, 22, comma 2019. As you can see, Excel is able to recognize immediately that this is a date by giving it custom. And what does it mean to show this custom? If I click on this, as you can see, the group that we are currently now is the numbers group. And with that, we are able to like see various data type that Excel assigned to various column. For this, it assigns it to be general. This general can be assigned to anything in Excel. Even this is general. That general can either be treated as number or text. But if you want your data set to be specific to what you are doing, take for example, you want this to be text instead of it be giving it a general name, then you can just switch it from here. If you click here, you just locate where text is, drag it, just scroll down, and you will see text. So if I click on text, now by default, it was set to general, but we don't want our column to generalize on the particular column that we have. That's why we set it to be text. And now this one too, it's okay the way it is general. But for this, it was set to custom by default. And let's just go and see what the custom value is. And how can we see it? If you click on this more number format, you'll be able to see where the custom value is. And as you can see, the custom value is assigned to the DMMMYY, which is interpreting to be date, month, and year. And you will see that the date, month, and year that we have, the D is representing these two. Assuming it is DD, it will be 02. Now for this month, we have MMM. That is telling you that the short form of month is what we want, which is February. Now we have Feb, which is 1, 2, 3. MMM, which is Feb, FEB. For January, it will be JAN. For March, it will be MAR, the way you all know. And for YYY, that is just giving it a shortcut, like a short way of representing a year. This is 2019. Okay, so we can get those things done. Assuming we don't want it to be in this particular format, we can even change it to another format. Maybe we want it to be the way we usually write date in Nigeria. We usually write it by putting it by having no, this is month. We usually have MAD. Now let's say I can even modify it by myself. I can just say this should be DD, why this should be MM, why the last one should be year. As you can see the sample we have here, you see that we have 02/02/2019. So I can set it like that by myself without even using any of what they have here. But if you want to use the default settings, you can just switch from this custom to date, because we have various date format there. Now with this various date format that we have, as you can see, the one we set initially, this is it here. Now take for example, we would like to switch to another one, which will tell us the day of the week that we have. We have this Wednesday. As you can see in the sample, you see the equivalent result of what we are clicking. So we have Saturday, February 2, and so on and so forth. You will see various data representation of date in Excel, and just going downward. You see 4th March 2019. But let's just click on what we have here, and I say, okay. And as you can see, we still have the same thing, but now it's no longer showing custom again. It's not showing date, because we click the format set in date, and now we have our February and so on. Now take for example, let's take for example, maybe I want 22 of January 2020. As you can see, immediately I click downward, like Excel automatically change it to the format I set initially. And if I want it to be consistent across to everything I want to be doing, as you can see, we still have custom here. But if I want this to be consistent across everything I'll be doing, I can just highlight everything from here till I reach the last line. I will just highlight it there and then click on, and I locate where that particular thing is. I will locate it in the dates. Let me look at dates. Now I want to use this particular format, the format I set initially, which is this. Now, if I click on it now, you see that we have consistent format. Now I take for example, I want to type another thing, 3/ let's say 9/2023. As you can see, everything gets changed automatically to what I set it to be. Let's say 7/March again, and then 2021. As you can see, everything still gets turned to the way I set it. Let me just copy it across to the other ones. So copy it. Okay, I noticed that we have two added lines here, and I don't want it to be there. So I want to delete it. How can I delete it? I can just highlight everything. What I want to delete, just highlight it. Just highlight these two cells. Then click delete on my keyboard. If I press delete on my keyboard, to get deleted. So we are able to do that. And as you can see, the way we have it now, we already have a data, a structured data. We have a structured data because we don't have any consistency in our data set. Everything is well structured. We have a structured data set. And take for example, I would like to add a filter icon on top of the headings. I want to add a filter whereby I can filter for a particular value, and then it will be given to me. How can I do that? To do that, you can easily press Ctrl+Shift+L on your keyboard. Ctrl+Shift+L. The moment you click Ctrl+Shift+L, that filter icon will be given to you. As you can see, we have filter icon, Ctrl+Shift+L. That's the shortcut to use to do that. The shortcut to use to get that filter icon is Ctrl+Shift+L. But if you would like to do it manually without using the shortcut key, you can just navigate to where your data ribbon is, then click on filter. With this, you can get it done. As you can see, the equivalent of filter is Ctrl+Shift+L. It is written in the terminal box. Now we have Ctrl+Shift+L to do that. Okay, so I already introduced you to the concept of AutoFill and Flash Fill, where you are able to use a pattern to fill another cell. So for font size, color, and styles, how can you change them in Excel? You already know how to change a text to be bolded or italize it. But what if you now want to change the color of this text? You want to change it from black to be another color. So you can get that done inside this font group. Once you are in the font group, in the home ribbon, you can just navigate to where we have this font color. As you can see, font color. So if you click on this menu icon, we have various color that you can change it to be. Then I can just change it to this. As you can see, I have the color that I want to add. I have the color. What I categorize to be the best way of changing various font or the headings in Excel is the use of styles. See the way I just change this thing now to this. You can easily get those things done easily in a well-structured way by just navigating to your cell styles. As you can see, cell styles. If you click here, you will see various cell styles. You see, as you can see, we have background, and also the font color is also changing according to the style that I click. If I go to the Accent 6, you see the font size, you see the color, you see the background. Everything will get changed to the one set by default, as you can see. Okay, I think this one captivates me, so I will just click on that. So I have a good style to use now. So let me quickly introduce you to the concept of cell alignment, merge, wrap, and some other stuffs too. So let me quickly expand this so that I will be able to draw out what I'm trying to point out here. Let me expand it. I want to adjust the size so that you'll be able to see what I'm trying to draw out here. Okay. As you can see now, we have our name, student name, to be at the left-hand side. Like the name is at the left-hand side. But to some people, they can prefer to have the name to be at the center, to centralize it, while the way our matric number 2 is at the left-hand side. But basically, what I'm trying to draw out here is just how you can center a data to be at the left-hand side, the middle, or at the right-hand side. If you would like to do that, take for example, you want to change everything here from left-hand side, which is the default, to be at the center. So just navigate to your home ribbon. Once you are on the home ribbon, locate where the alignment group is. The alignment group. Now, in the alignment group, you'll be able to see the alignment. You'll be able to see various alignment that we have in Excel. We have left alignment, we have center alignment, and we also have right alignment. So if I click on center here, the student name will be at the center. For the matric number also, if I highlight everything and I click on the right alignment, the matric number will be at the right side of the cell, as you can see. It is important to point out to you that in Excel, a number is always represented at the right hand side. Both number and date, they are always represented at the right hand side of the screen. As you can see, the date here is at the right hand side, while the age also is at the right hand side. So how do you know if a particular cell is a number or it's a text? You can easily identify them based on their alignment. Take, for example, I change this 22 to be maybe 22. Can you see what just happened? So you see that this is at the left hand side, while the numbers are at right hand side. So with that, I can see the inconsistency, and that will draw my attention, and then quickly navigate to where it is and then change it to be 22. So with that, we have it at the right hand side. Or maybe when a data is structured in inconsistent way to the default. Take, for example, this age, which is a number by default. Maybe someone now changed it to be text by going to this place and then navigating to where text is. Text. As you can see, the age is now a text, which is now centered at the left hand side, which is now centered at the right hand side. So I can easily correct it by quickly going to this particular icon, which you can use to change the number format of any cell. So I can just go there. If I use the general, this one is like a generalized data type, which can detect a number from text by default. But it is very, very important to always change the type of an attribute in the data set. It's very, very important to change it to the right one. So let me just quickly change it from general to number. Yes, number. We have number here. And if you use the number data type in Excel, you see that these two decimal places get added automatically. So take, for example, you want to remove it, you can easily just adjust that by clicking on this. As you can see, at the numbers data type changing, you can see this decrease decimal and also increase decimal. If you want to decrease this decimal point of a particular cell, you can just click here and the decimal point will go away. If you would like to increase decimal point, take, for example, maybe you calculate one particular thing, you calculate, let me just quickly use this cell and this as an example. You calculate equals to, then you say this divided by this. You see that we have decimal point, which is 4.5. Now, take, for example, you want to increment this 4.5. You want it to be in 4 decimal places. So you can easily adjust it by going to this numbers group and then clicking on this increase decimal tab. As you can see, I want to put it in 4 decimal place. So I have this. Or let me just use this as an example. This 20. Let me delete this and use this 23 divided by 2.9. Okay, as you can see, we have 7.9310. So that is telling you that you can increase the decimal point and you can also decrease it. And automatically, take, for example, you have 8.75555. Automatically, Excel knows a way of rounding it to what you want it to be. It will automatically round it as from 5. If you have 5, it will round it to be 1 to the next line. Take, for example, I want to make it to be in 3 decimal places. Excel knows a way of handling it, and it will be 8.756. So let me do that. Let me decrease the decimal point. Okay, as you can see, we have 8.756 for 3 decimal places. So this is just a demonstration of how you can use the numbers group to get things done. Okay, let me quickly draw your attention to one particular thing, which is very, very important, because I see that I already introduced you to how you can use font size, color, and sound. Now, on cell alignment, there's one particular concept in cell alignment called wrap text and match and center. Take, for example, your data set. You want to add your, maybe the particular data set you are working with has an heading, and you would like to add the heading at the top of your data set. So now, if you just type the heading here, take, for example, I type student in 2018 stroke 2023 student data. As you can see, I added it to the top of the screen. but it is not getting centralized to what I described earlier. So how can I get it done? So I can just match all these cells. Immediately I match all these cells together, then it will be the way I want it to be, because the function name is saying match and center. All the cells are combined into a one cell, because all this one you can move from one cell to the other. But for the one that was matched, you see that it is just one cell, which is defined to A1. It's just one cell. And I can increase it to what I want it to be by going to this particular tab for increase font. The font will be increasing. Then I have the, let me just put it at 20. The font is increasing. So I would like to change the color of this particular cell to blue. Yes, blue. Now, with what I did earlier, I can easily do that by just going to my cell style. If I go to cell style, I can navigate to this, but it will change it to the particular template I use. Once I use it like this, it will change it to the one that was set in this cell style. So I can easily adjust it to what I want it to be. So to 20, then I have that. So this is what we have while using cell style and also using match and center. So let me just change it to make it match what the color of our table. Yes. Okay. So that is the concept of you using both match and center. Okay. So let me quickly introduce you to the concept of test wrap. As you can see, this test wrap, the name is very, very clear, and even the description here is well narrated. They say wrap extra long text into multiple lines so you can see all of it. I believe that you should be able to know what that is saying. So I will just quickly demonstrate it here because I don't have anything to use to demonstrate it in the table. So let me just type anything that comes to my head. Okay, my name is Olushola Timothy Okundepo, and I am a data scientist at the Lagos Ministry of Science and Technology. Okay, as you can see now, the thing I entered into the cell, it spans across to the other cells, though nothing is there, but you would think as if maybe something is in another cell. But I don't want that to happen. So I can just adjust this to make it fit small. And then by now using this wrap test, as you can see, I want to wrap it to be able to contain the entire paragraph. By just using this wrap test, as you can see, everything is now located in one particular cell. Because in real life data set, you will definitely come across this kind of data. So by using this wrap test tab, it helps you to wrap the entire test to be in one cell without spilling across to the other cell or without them being hidden. Because take for example, while I'm working here, as you can see, it has spilled across to the other cells, though nothing is in another cell. Now let's say, take for example, I want to like have another value here. Oh, what did you say? As you can see, now the test that I have here that was spilling across to the other cells before, just because I enter another thing here, they've been hidden. Like those tests, they've been hidden. So I don't want a situation where that will just be preventing people from seeing the entire cell. So that's the reason why I use test wrap. With the use of test wrap, you see that everything, you'll be able to see everything clearly without anything being hidden. And as you can see, it was aligned to be at the bottom of the screen. Take, for example, I don't want it to be this way. I want it to be at the center. I can easily get that done by going to the alignment group and then locating this. This is the bottom align. This is middle align. Why this is the top align. So I just align it to be at the middle by clicking here. As you can see, oh, what did you say? It's now aligned at the middle. So I quickly want to draw your attention to that alignment group. That's why I quickly demonstrated this. So let me just delete them and then they will return back to their default size. Okay, let's switch back to our presentation. Now, this is the concept of you copying, cutting, and pasting. And I believe by now you guys should be able to do that because I have already demonstrated it a number of times on how you can copy something from one place to the other, even to the concept of you cutting. And cutting is exactly like you moving a particular data from one particular value to the other. So let me go to W7 and quickly demonstrate it to you. Let me type, oh, what did you say? Now, take for example, this is just a demo of that cut, copy, and pasting. Now, I would like to copy this from here to another place. Take for example, Y7. Now, let me just give it a format. Let me give it a good format. Yes, that's a good format now. Okay, I would like to copy the value from here to W7. How can I do that? You can just click on it and then navigate to your clipboard. At the clipboard section, you will see one particular icon called copy. So with the copy icon, if you click on copy, you can now paste it anywhere you want to paste it by just going to where you want to paste it. Click on the cell, then navigate back to where you see paste. Can you see? You see paste. If you say paste, now the value gets pasted. And you see that as I copied this particular value, the format also gets copied along the way, and the format also pasted as soon as I paste that particular value. So how can I limit the scope to just paste the value alone without pasting the format with it? So Exgesty enables us to do that. Let me press Ctrl Z on my keyboard. So Ctrl Z. Okay, Exgesty enables us to do that by still going to this paste. But this time around, you won't just click on paste, but you click on the menu icon below it. If you click on the menu icon, you will see various options that you can use to paste something in Excel. But the one that does what we are working on currently is the use of paste value. Can you see values? If you click on values now, you see that the value alone got pasted without pasting the format with it. And also, take for example, I would like to move this from here. Maybe you want to move a particular cell to another place in Excel. How can I move this to another place? So I can just click on this cell and then locate the edge, one of the edges. You can just click there, and they'll see that you see that one cross icon on top of that edge. The moment you see that cross icon, that tells you that okay, you can now go ahead and then move it to wherever you want to move it to. So I can just drag it from here. I will drag it to wherever I want to drag it to. So let me drag it to be beside this. Oh, what did you say? And you see that I'm able to move it. I'm able to move it to where I want it to be. So it's get moved, as you can see. It get moved. You can move it to anywhere. But if you want to use that shortcut that you used earlier by using Control C, so this time around, instead of using Control C, you'll be using Control X, which I know that you all know how to use that because even in Windows, it is Control X you use to move, while Control C is what you use to copy. So I can just say Control X, then locate where I want to paste it to, and then I say Control V, then it gets pasted with the format. Okay, so that's the concept of copy and paste in Excel. Copy, paste, and cutting in Excel. So I already introduced you to how to use Format Painter. I need to dwell more on that. And also, by now, I believe that you should know how to use relative reference and absolute reference, because at the beginning of this course, I introduced you to how to use relative reference and absolute reference. As a recap, let me quickly do a recap on that. Let me clear this, clear the format. Okay. For a recap on relative reference and absolute reference, take for example, you want to reference this Olulope Emmanuel in this cell. You want to reference it. And how do you reference any cell in Excel? The moment you know that what you are working on currently involves you using formula or you referring to another cell, then you must always start with equal sign, because that equal sign will helps you tell Excel or any spreadsheet you are working on you want to use the formula operations. Now, by just navigating to this B8 and then pressing OK, you see that we are able to reference Tolulope Emmanuel from here. And then we have B5, which is the location of that cell, B5. But in the absence of dollar sign, this is telling you that it is a relative reference. But when we have, take for example, let me quickly reference that Tolulope Emmanuel again. to look Emmanuel. Now, me referencing to look Emmanuel and then clicking inside the formula bar. So the shortcut to lock a cell to be absolute reference is you using L4. It's equals to locating B5. So now I click inside the formula bar and then I press L4 on my keyboard. Can you see? The formula gets changed automatically to be B5. Now we have B5. Now you see, if I drag this across downward, you see that the value is moving from to Lokbe Manuel to Lokbe Manuel 2, and it's moving across the vertical axis. But if I do the same operation on this cell, which is absolute reference, you see that what just happened is just as if you are copying and pasting a cell. The B5 never changed in the formula bar. But for the case of this relative reference, B5 changed to B6, B6 changed to B7, and so on and so forth till we reach B10. So relative reference can move across vertical axis to the horizontal axis as long as you drag it there. Take, for example, I want to drag this B5 to this to left. You see that we have 6, which is telling you the number that we have here. It was able to move across to what we have here by dragging it to the left. So, but the concept of relative reference and absolute reference can also be used to restrict the moving order of a cell. Take, for example, how can I restrict my data set to only move whenever I'm going downward in the Excel spreadsheet? How can I make it to just be moving downward alone without moving across the horizontal axis? I want it to be moving alone on the vertical axis, but not the horizontal axis. So the concept of both relative reference and absolute reference helps us to get those ones done. So I want to make it move across the vertical axis, but not the horizontal axis. And you already know that the vertical axis is the V, while the horizontal axis is all the numbers that we have here. They are referring to the horizontal axis, while the letters that we have here, they are referring to the vertical axis. Now, I wanted to move this to Lokbe Emmanuel. I wanted to move only on the vertical axis, but not across the horizontal axis. Let me quickly do that. Now, by just going into the cell and then pressing L4, if I click L4, you see that absolute reference gets activated immediately. I click on L4. But if I click on L4 again, you see that now it is telling me that, okay, B5 is now logged, telling me that I just logged the horizontal axis. But that's not what I want to do. I want to log the vertical axis. I can click on F4 again, and then you see the dollar sign at the front of the B. So with this, the horizontal axis is now logged. What just happened? Okay, we'll change it to be test. Let me quickly change it back to general. Okay, so you see that we have to look by Emmanuel. Now, if I now drag this downward, you will see what will happen. You see that we are able to like move across downward without copying anything or without it being having any anomalies. But the moment we try to like switch it like from vertical to the horizontal axis, take for example, I want to drag it to this place, to the right hand side. You see that this time around, it did not move from Tolulope Emmanuel to the matric number, but it still copied the same value again to the right hand side. Can you see that? But if you try to do that for a relative reference, it will move from the name to the matric number. But with the concept of both relative reference and absolute reference, the two will be working together. If you move to the left, if you move to the right, it will only copy it. Moving downward, we adjust it based on what we have in the table. So we don't have anything here. That's why we have 0. So let me just delete it. So I believe we should get the concept of both absolute reference and relative reference with this demonstration. Now let's get into using formulas and functions in Excel. we are able to use various functions in Excel. Take, for example, the sum function to sum a lot of things together, while we have average to get the mean, while we have min function to get the minimum value in a particular data set. So let me quickly use this as example for you. Now, take for example, maybe I want to know the youngest among the students we have here. I want to know the youngest age. How can I get that? I can easily get that by just using equal sign and then pressing min. I press tab on my keyboard to auto complete the rest for me. Now I highlight everything from here till I read the last line. Then I close the formula. I press enter. So this is telling me that 18 is the youngest age in our table by using that main function. But with the use of average, I can get the absolute average of a table or is a particular column. And also you can also use count. So I believe that as we move on, you get to see all these particular function in action. And quickly, let me quickly draw your attention to you using basic arithmetic operation that you use in mathematics. You can still use them exactly the way you use them in mathematics in Excel also. Take for example, let me delete this. Okay. Let me say, let me just give it a random value. Let me say class A. Then call it 11, 33, 2. So let me just automatically fill it downward using the concept of AutoFill and Flash Fill. Now, I have class A value. I'm just using this to demonstrate the addition and subtraction, class B. So now, let me use 11, 21, 37. So let me just use the concept of Flash Fill to fill the rest also. Okay, so now I cannot get the difference between class A and class B. So with the use of my arithmetic operation for minus, I can say class A. I can just press equal sign, then click on class A value minus class B value, and then press enter. So if I want to fill the formula downward, I can just come to the gear icon at the bottom here and then double click on it. If I double click, you see that everything gets filled automatically. Now for addition, so for class A and class B, so I can press equal sign again and then say this plus this. Then I say enter. Then I still use that drag down. It's either I drag it down or, but the easiest one to do in this case is just by double clicking at the edge. It will get filled downward automatically without you going through any stress of dragging across. Okay, so now quickly let me draw your attention to multiplication also. Multiplication. Basically, all the functions, all the arithmetic operation you can do, you can even think of in mathematics, you can do everything in Excel as well. So multiplication, but multiplication itself, you can't use X on your keyboard. You have to use asterisk sign by just clicking on Shift 8 on your keyboard. That will enable you to type this asterisk sign. Then with this asterisk sign, that is representing multiply in arithmetic operation. So then I click on this class B also. Then that one also gets multiplied. Then fill it downward. For division. Then let me just quickly divide. Click on equal sign. Then divide the class A by class B. So you can fill that one to downward by just double clicking on the edge. Now everything gets filled. The key takeaway for the first class on module 1 is how you use data analysis solves a lot of problems, even in business, in making informed decision, and some others one too. And also you are able to use Microsoft Excel as a tool for data manipulation, for data entry and analysis. And you were able to use the understanding of basic functions and formulas to do a lot of things. Take, for example, the way you were able to use the addition, subtraction, the way you were able to use sum and other formulas that I introduced you to, where you were able to use them to get a concise result. So that is the key takeaway on that first module.